To me, I love coming up here. I think it's just, this is science fiction, right? This is science, but this is science fiction. It always takes me a little bit of time to think, hey, I'm not in a science fiction movie. This is real. This is really ALMA. So, just the location first is when there's less people around, and when you go a little further, you feel like you're on Mars. Yeah, so right now, as I said, they're all within this pretty close configuration. But as we progress in the life of ALMA, as we commission more and more of the modes, we're starting to explore some of the larger configurations. And obviously we start with the more compact configuration because that's easier. It's just easier to get these antennas to work together, to get all of this coherence, to get the phase to work well when they're closer together. How far apart can we move them? Well, right now, as I said, they're 500 meters apart, but we can move them up to 15 kilometers. So the distance between the two furthest antenna will be 15 kilometers. And actually, you don't even see the places that will be 15 kilometers apart. Over there, I don't know if you can see, really far away, we have one antenna that's 3 kilometers away. And that, that looks pretty tiny. That's just 3 kilometers. So imagine when we have one antenna that's 7.5 kilometers over there and another one that's 7.5 kilometers in that direction, they won't see each other. You'll be at one antenna, they won't see each other. So that will provide us with a baseline, with a virtual telescope that's about 15 kilometers in diameter. Okay, so right now we went out a few kilometers away from the main array that we can see over there. So now we can have a kind of a global view of the whole area. So this whole plateau that you can see over there, that's called the Chajnantor Plateau. Right? This is the big plateau that we're installing all of ALMA on. And although it's pretty high, we're at 5,000 meters, there's peaks and volcanoes all around it that are even higher. Well, first, if we look around there, this is the antenna that we were looking at when we were in the middle of the array. This is the antenna that was the small one all the way further out. And you can see it here hanging out by itself with its own generator to get power, because we don't have power coming out this far yet. Soon we will. And then all around us, we can see these peaks that surround the array. There's a really beautiful one all the way out there. That's a big volcano, like that's one that's called Licancabur. When you're in San Pedro de Atacama, that's the little city, the little town down here. It really dominates the landscape. It's really beautiful. And then if we look towards there, when we see those that big valley, we're looking towards Argentina. Argentina's over there. And that area is called Pamparabola. We're looking down there in Pamparabola. Looks pretty far. In that area, before you come back to the higher peaks, there are some foundations. There are some pads down there that we don't even see from here. So there will be pads up there. There will be pads a little further up the mountain over there that we don't see from here. And if we look, so this is going to be hard. You see that little peak? That's called Cerro Chico, little peak, actually in Spanish. Well, behind that little peak that we don't see over there, there will be also pads over there. So we'll have antennas distributed all over this array, all over this plateau, at different elevations, some of them not even visible from each other, and they're all going to be working together as a single telescope, even though they're so far, so remote from each other. And that, this is what we're working on for the next couple of years in terms of commissioning ALMA, getting it working. This closer peak, actually, this is the peak that gives the name to the rest of the plateau. This peak is called Cerro Chajnantor. That's the peak, and that one, it may not look like it may not look that high, but that's 600 meters higher than the plateau. So here we're looking at a peak that's 5,600 meters. Installing ALMA at 5,000 meters is already pretty much of an extreme feat of engineering. It's really hard. There's a lot of problems to it. However, there's a group of universities, Caltech, Cornell, and a bunch of other universities that are planning to install a telescope even higher on top of Cerro Chajnantor. It's called CCAT, and there's plans to install a telescope up there, and that's, that'll be even harder. You have to first build a road up there. You have to get power up there. It'll be really hard. But the reason you want to do that is that there are some windows of observing in the atmosphere that only open up there and that don't even open down here. So that means the weather, the fact that you have 600 meters less of atmosphere allows you to observe through some of these windows that we don't get open, that you cannot observe, that are opaque down here at 5,000 meters.
And there's a big salt lake out there. That's the Atacama Desert. And that great big building there, that's where the Americans construct their antenna. Does it still work? Can we turn it?
It does the work. We don't turn it these days, but we can maybe allow you just one turn of the handle, Brady.
Are you sure? I don't want to. Mainly, I don't want to break it.
You're not going to break it.